Good morning. It's just gone 3 minutes past 11 and it's your Sunday Blether time. I'm your host David Logan. It's the Bhoycie Bus, Sunday Blether, and of course I'm joined by my usual Sunday Blethering band of brothers. Try saying that fast 3 times, Phil.
Oh, no.
Phil McGinley, Mr. Friday Night, the Riddler. Any nickname we want to come up with, I'm going to throw them at you. How you doing, Phil? You doing good?
Aye, no bad, all things considered. Yes, obviously, a game happened yesterday we need to be talking about. But yeah, we will get to that very soon. But other than that result, I'm doing not too bad, mate.
And of course, we've got hiding behind the curtains today. We've got Regan and we've got Mark. I don't know which one's which, so let's go with Regan. But speak, my man, where are you?
David, I'm doing no bad. That game yesterday was a bit of shambles. It was a bit like watching Neil Lennon back in time. I just, Mikey Johnson off the bench. I thought Ralston wasn't great. I thought the whole team was slow. It was just, it was one of these games where I just felt like we could have played till next Sunday, David and the Sunday Weather, and we still couldn't have scored.
Nah, I know, mate. I know the feeling. And Phil, can you tell which one's which? Are they telling? I think Mark's under me. Mark, is that you, bro? How you doing?
Mark's green.
Is it? He's under my screen.
I don't know then. I don't know.
Mark, wave. How you doing, Mark? Are you all right, mate? Are you feeling a bit worse for wear today? That are you putting your makeup on? What's happening?
Well, I'm actually bleaching my sink, mate. I'm just cleaning my kitchen, so I thought that's the room. So I thought
You're bleaching your sink, wow.
I wanted to bleach my eyes after watching that yesterday.
So now we know how his kitchen's so clean, folks.
Yeah.
No, that'll be dark. No, I was watching that yesterday. I wanted to put myself in a vat of acid, to be quite honest with you. So it's good to get it off my chest. I thought I'd come on and moan like fuck to you guys.
This is a safe place for us on a Sunday morning, guys. So we'll let the moaning commence just in 1 second. But before we do that, let's do all that good stuff. So like, share, subscribe, slag our hair, become a Bhoycie Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. Everything's free. It's just a little contribution, voluntary contribution to help keep the wheels on the road, help with subscription fees, yada yada yada. And of course, big shout out to piesports.com. Get your tasty pasty treats right there. Put Bus 1888 into the checkout and you'll get yourself a tasty 12.5% off your order. I think that's everything. Phil, you were there yesterday.
Yes.
Freezing your nuts off. The
Yes.
cozy domestic comfort blanket wasn't wrapped round you yesterday.
No.
You must have left it that at home because it was a cold day to be sitting through that shit yesterday, Phil.
It was a dark blast, as it was called. Yeah, it certainly was. I was hoping that Celtic would give me something to keep me warm and keep me entertained, but no, that was absolutely turgid. I've got 3 main takes from it, and what I'm about to say to you guys will not be a surprise. I've not reinvented the wheel. I've not mankind discovering fire. The 3 takes I've got from it, and I say all the guys in the chat will agree. 1, we need a new goalkeeper. 2, forward should be a priority position in the January window. And 3, we are still absolutely shockingly terrible at penalty kicks, and I just can't understand how this keeps happening. You know, I've seen some stat that apparently we have been awarded just as many penalties as Rangers this season, right? Which sounds weird, but it's because we keep missing so many that it doesn't register that we keep getting loads of them. 2 penalties yesterday and missing 1 of them. It's unforgivable, man. It really is. What are they practicing in training with stuff like that? And I say the goalkeeper situation and the striker situation. Well, I'm saying to you, it's not a surprise to anybody me saying that because it's something that we've all highlighted. We talked even last Sunday about the forward hunt, how we definitely need to be looking at that as a priority position. The times that we've dropped points this season have all been games where it looks like if Kyogo's not on it, then we're struggling for goals. We really are struggling. And yesterday was another one of those games where Kyogo couldn't really get in the game. He even got taken off as well, but I say he wasn't having a great game. And yeah, it's just you just felt like, God, we're going to struggle here. We did eventually get a goal from a penalty, but yeah, it's just an absolute shambles. Really, there's so many things that we can go through here of what went wrong yesterday. But that was my 3 main takes. Definitely need a new goalie. Definitely need to look at a new forward, and they seriously need to start practicing penalties a lot better. Like, honestly, find a guy that's good at them and just stick to one guy taking them, whether he misses or scores. Just stick to the same guy instead of chopping and changing it all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I wanted to bring up about the penalty taking situation. It's like this merry-go-round of just trying somebody new. There's no consistency whatsoever. What does that do for the confidence of the player? It's like, well, you missed one penalty, so you're not trusted to take the next one. And then eventually it's come back. So obviously, most recently, that happened to Turnbull. Of course, he's on the pitch when the penalty comes up, and he's got back on the one, and he's taken it. And obviously he scored that one now. Like, just because he missed a penalty previously, that shouldn't necessarily mean like, right, you're not trusted to take any more. But of course, I'm saying this, like, I'm not saying Turnbull should be the number one penalty taker, but the point still stands. It's like, he's missed a penalty, right, we're not having him. And it's like, well, what does that do for the player's confidence? Regan, I want your initial take on the game. We had a quick chat before we came on there of what was frustrating you most about the game, and obviously a lot of it was to do with the length of time it took to get going, a lot of stoppages, and of course the play. We were so slow and turgid, like we're running through mud yesterday.
We just looked as if we were so well off it. I mean, and I think Phil remember this action from being in the game, but there was one in the first half where Joe Hart almost caused a goal for Motherwell as well, when he came right out his goal. I don't know if you remember it, Phil, but he came right out his goal, and it was a kind of open goal for Motherwell, and the guy missed, and
Vickers headed it away. Aye,
I just don't know. I totally agree with you, but I just don't know. Surely in January, the goalkeeping position can be addressed, because, okay, right, people keep telling me Joe Hart's good for the dressing room. I can be good for the dressing room. I can go and give them motivational speeches and be there and do whatever they want me to do. But I mean, sometimes in football, David, there's too much sentimentality. I think the goalkeeping position needs addressed. I think something else we need to address as well, David, is I've seen a lot of things on social media talking about Brendan Rodgers overnight, right? Now, I just want to ask you guys, right? Brendan Rodgers comes back to Celtic in 2023, right? He's got James Forrest, Mikey Johnson, Tony Ralston, Stephen Welsh. You must be thinking he's still back in 2016. You know, and then as I see people on Twitter blaming Brendan Rodgers, I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, fair enough, the football was bad, right? But Brendan Rodgers is clearly what everyone does. He knows this squad is woeful. But I'll tell you something else, David. This squad should be able to beat Motherwell at home. Now, I thought the main signing over the summer, Lewis Palmer, I didn't think he did his greatest game. I don't know what he's doing for the penalty. He's trying to copy Eden Hazard from back in Chelsea days, where he sends the goalkeeper the opposite way with a nice wee dink. But I just found the game really strange. I think I can't remember a great chance we had to put the game to bed. And then see when I don't know if Phil felt the same, but see when the penalty goes in, you just always felt that there was going to be one big chance for Motherwell as well. And it was like, why are we putting Greg Taylor to mark Jonathan Obika, who's probably their biggest player? We've got little versus large. It's not going to work. And I thought Greg Taylor as well yesterday. I said to Phil as well, he really slowed the game down. He took an age for his throw-ins, and it was. I just felt overall. I thought that the whole game was just very slow, very lethargic, and I was really disappointed. Yeah, but I don't know, David. I feel like the options on the bench are really they're not Celtic quality. I mean, we had Marco Tilio come on in 90 plus 1 minutes to try and save the day, but that shouldn't be what Marco Tilio is about. That's the first time we've seen that guy. And
that's not a good introduction to the player for me.
No, I mean we we should be introducing this guy when we're 2-0 up, 3-0 up, not Marco Tilio coming on to rescue the day. I just hope Aberdeen can do us a little favour today, and even a draw would do us, David, because I just feel like this Celtic squad, right? I don't know what you guys feel, you can answer me a second, but I just feel this Celtic squad needs to get to January with some kind of gap, because if we go to January level, then this will give Rangers the ammunition that they want. And like Terry was saying last night, see in that dressing room right now, I'm sure I know Tavernier's not a winner. I mean, the guy's only won one trophy in 12 years been up here, right? But I'm sure he's in that dressing room right now and he's saying, this is a perfect opportunity.
No, yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, that's given Mark. That's ultimately given Rangers another little added glimmer of hope to that their season's back on. You were there as well yesterday, am I right in saying, Mark? You were there?
Yes, I was, unfortunately.
Did you manage? Yeah. Watching that game yesterday, are you as you're watching it unfold now? I know we're probably, you could say we're being maybe slightly negative right now, but when we're looking more at the negative points, but I think it's I don't want to call it being negative, but it's I think it's completely fair, constructive criticism of the squad, the decision makings of the manager, the board, the players' decisions in game. It's all fair. Mark, you've been one of the most vocal on this podcast about what needs to be done. I mean, you must be getting sick and tired of watching the same thing every week that maybe other people are only slowly starting to get to grips with now. What is where are we going with this right now? Where now? And we can argue that we still haven't lost the game domestically. We're still sitting pretty at the top of the table, but that gap at the table is slowly closing in, and we really got to get a grip of this soon. And we need to start learning from these lessons that we keep getting told about that we need to learn from by our captain.
Oh, fuck's sake, don't mention him. I'm getting fed up with the free ride that guy gets at Celtic Park. He's been a great player for Celtic, but I don't think I've ever seen a Celtic captain so immune to criticism as this guy. It's almost like sacrilegious to mention when he has a bad game. I don't think he's had a good game all season. I don't think there's been one spell of good football for Callum McGregor this season. I call him Captain Invisible. I think when the big games, he rarely shows up in Europe, very rarely shows up in Europe, unless he's given an assist to the opposition. I think he gets himself into crowded areas, so he looks like he's receiving the ball quite a lot, and he's making the easy pass quite a lot as well. And he gets the ball in busy areas, so that the easy pass looks like the only pass. I think he flatters to deceive, honestly. I'm not the only person that's questioning his captain material. You know, I mean, I think he's done a great job the last couple of years as captain, but let's look back at the COVID season. He was the captain for most of that season when Brown was quite rightly dropped, and when the going gets tough, he rarely stands up. You know what I mean? There's been moments at Ibrox and a couple of key moments that he has shown his worth, but anytime the referees allowing players to make an arse of themselves in that park, he's never talking to the referee. He's never asking the referee to tell players to hurry up at by kicks or if we get a foul against us, which isn't a foul. He just walks past the referee, and the fans are fucking screaming through the terraces for him to speak to the referee, and he never does it. You know what I mean? You've got to be in the referee's face. Any other captain in this league speaks to the referees when there's decisions go against them or puts pressure on them. That's part of football. You know what I mean? And there's different types of captains. You can lead for just pure ability, but I think he's lacking. I really do, David. I'm not the only person that's questioning his fortitude for this, because I'm beginning to slowly see people actually realising that there's meant to be a Celtic captain that's just been there for a long time. When you wear that Celtic captain armband, you have got to be like a Scott Brown, for talking sake, somebody who's going to just be a pure leader out in that park. I don't think he is a leader out in that park. I'm sure if you ask the player, they would tell you he's a good captain. I'm not denying he's been a good player for Celtic, but I feel like he's actually one of the positions we need to strengthen on is his position, or at least somebody to challenge him, because my God, he's doing nothing in that midfield. I think O'Reilly and Hattati carry him at times. You know what I mean? It's certainly in Europe. But if anybody wants evidence to where that guy's ability lies, watch him in Europe. He very rarely puts on a performance that makes you go, wow, look at that, it's a Celtic captain there. He's certainly not like a Paul Lambert or even a Neil Lennon on that part, really, isn't he? You know what I mean? And this hybrid 6 or 8 position, I don't know what position he's playing in, but I would come on just to talk about Carl McGregor. I'm glad you mentioned him, but I think yesterday's match epitomised that squad. When you're seeing Mikey Johnson coming on to win a match and David Turnbull was on to shoot for 30 yards. That's why he was brought on the park. That was the tactic, and he tried it. And I think the ball's still floating in now. And when we're bringing on Turnbull and Johnston and you've got guys on the park, like, I mean, how Palmer came out in the second half. To my dying breath, I will not know how that guy came out in the second half, because his first half showing was outrageous. You know what I mean? So was Yang's. We're needing quality, and I would suggest that Celtic need a new right back, a new left back, somebody to come in at number 6. Somebody's got to do a job. Somebody's got to challenge Carl McGregor. I think we need 2 new wingers. I think we need a new striker as well. And I'm not just scattergunning here. This is positions that anybody that's watching Celtic, with a goalie as well, anybody that's watching Celtic must admit that we're lacking in every single department. In every area of our park, we need a new goalkeeper. Defence needs tightened up. Midfield looks like if O'Reilly or Hattati's not having a great game, they don't have a good game at all. And our strike force, I mean, Kyogo's scored 1 goal in 7 matches. He barely touched the ball yesterday. He looked way off it. He was getting 0 service for the wingers who were inept. And I just don't know that. I think it's a point they make all the time, but you get £70 million in the bank and you're bringing on David Turnbull and and Mikey Johnson. Come on, is this some sort of joke? Am I missing the joke here?
Yeah, I mean it's like definitely a frustrating position to be in right now when you bring up the 70 million in the bank, and obviously I want to just quickly say that the podcast that you and Bhoycie did on Wednesday night was phenomenal. I've not had a chance to say that to you. I think it's one of the best podcasts that's been done on this channel. I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. So that was a brilliant show, and you touched on so many points. And to talk about, to reiterate again, the position that we're in is so frustrating. Quickly to touch back on Callum McGregor. Personally, I wonder, and I find that I think there's no question, and you said it yourself, Mark. There's no question. He's a brilliant football player. He's been a brilliant player for Celtic. He still is a brilliant player for Celtic. I think, unfortunately, he's become a bit of a victim of his own form on previous seasons, and he's almost relied upon too much, and I think it's now catching up with him. I think I believe that is the reason of the issue of his form. He's maybe got a little bit too. You said it yourself, this hybrid 6-8. What position is he meant to be playing? I think the issue is, I always find that Callum McGregor has a poor game when he finds himself trying to pick up other people's slack, and I think it actually works as a detriment against him.
David, what about that point that Brown Warriors brought up about look at McGregor's form for Scotland at the moment under Stevie Clark and how he's getting used, and then look at, as Mark's pointed out, this season's been pretty underwhelming by his standards, the difference in how they're playing there. Same player, but yeah, he's definitely churning out good performances when he plays for the national team. How he's getting used, it's down to. I
think that's also because I think Steve Clark's Scotland team know what they're meant to be doing, and I think that's the point I was going to go on to, was there's still too many players in this system that don't know what they're meant to be doing. And I don't think it's Brendan Rodgers necessarily his fault. He's got his system and he's trying to implement that system, and I think there's players that aren't capable of doing it. I want to talk about the yin and yang of Yang. Phil. Just before the international break, the worst time it could have came for Yang was he had arguably his best game for Celtic against Aberdeen. We go on an international break and we come back and we see him return to the Yang that we purchased at the beginning of the season. Callum Davidson was pundit for the BBC yesterday, and he also believes that Yang is certainly one of the players that doesn't quite understand what is being asked of him. He goes on to say that again, Yang's quite new to the system and he doesn't quite understand what he wants. You know, when you play against Celtic, that's where they're going to get their crosses from. Today they were a wee bit laboured and a wee bit slow. It was Callum Davison speaking to the BBC yesterday as a pundit.
You take
Phil,
a pipe for that.
do you what, mate?
You take a pipe for that insight. Of course, the closest come for the hell, man. Oh, well, there's hope for me yet.
well, after last week's performance, mate, I'm sure you're on the eyes of the media, the mainstream media. Anyway, Phil, Phil, what is going on with Yang? Is it just a case of the boy? We've just got a player here that's just so raw in a project signing that we're going to have to expect these hot and cold, these yin and yangs performances from our South Korean £2 million signing from the summer.
There was a lot of huff and puff yesterday from Yang in terms of getting on the ball and trying to make things happen, but his end product was just horrendous. And regardless of Callum Davison's words about the player doesn't seem to know what his role is and what he's to do, there's no excuse for the sitter that he missed the header in the second half when Matt O'Reilly crossed it for the byline and he's inside the 6-yard box and he heads it past the post, and it's like the goalkeeper didn't even move for it, just stood there, and it's like, man, regardless if you're a project player or whatnot, you've got to be putting them away. So it's like you still put himself in a good chance. And there was another one as well, a header where him and O both went for the same ball and basically bumped into each other. One of them had basically a tap in at the back post with a header, and the two of them just ran into each other. It's like, man, regardless of this, Callum Davison's words saying, he doesn't, he hasn't familiar with the system and doesn't quite know his role yet. And it's like, yeah, but he still got himself in some good positions to put the ball in the back of the net and still missed them. So yeah, it's worrying because he was playing well. There was before the break there, and sometimes an international break could come along at the wrong time for a player, and I think he's been a victim of that because he did look like he was, he was going to go on and turn into put in some good performances, but especially Maeda's absence. And I know Mark is not particularly fond of Maeda, and I know, Mark, you said you could have something good from this with Maeda being out. The Yang, this could be his chance, and it looked like that would be the case. But yeah, yesterday it was just like, wow, that was brutal. And I say the header that he misses in the second half when Matt O'Reilly crosses it for the byline, there's like no excuse to miss that at all. None.
Another player, Regan, that you could maybe argue isn't getting the best out of this system as of late, and that's our main striker, Kyogo. He didn't have the best game yesterday. I feel like, it's this argument or debate could be had for Kyogo's performances for a long time, and what I mean by that is he doesn't touch the ball often, but he doesn't need to touch the ball often because he always gets into positions because we always create chances for him to get on the end of chances. We're not creating chances for him right now. We're not creating the chances that Kyogo thrives on, and I think it's starting to become a real issue now, not only for us as fans, but I think Kyogo's beginning to show signs of frustration that this way that he's been asked to play in the system isn't quite providing the amount of goals and the amount of opportunities to score goals as maybe the previous manager's style of play. What do we need to do here to get the best out of Kyogo again? Because it's before too long it will be a case of like the questions will be, will he need to be dropped? But right now we don't really have anybody that you could, like you say, hang your hat on if maybe Kyogo needs to be dropped to allow to get his form back. What do we do here?
See, David, that's a great point you made there. The fact that Mark's talking about McGregor, right? I want to talk about Kyogo as well, right? Kyogo's playing so many games. You know why that is? Because we've not got the squad strength to bring anybody else in. Because Brendan Rodgers doesn't trust O to be his main striker. Now, when Brendan Rodgers first came in 2016, he had Griffiths, Edward, and Dembele. Now he's got Kyogo, hoping to score a goal and then bring O on with 2 or 3 goals up. Now, I think there's been too much. I think we're relying on Kyogo far too much because I think sometimes in football, David, you're going to go through peaks and troughs. You're going through times of negativity, times where you're not feeling your best. It's like everybody at their normal day at work, you're going to go through times where you're not feeling your best or whatever. And I think it's negligence by the board as well, because they should know that not every single player is going to go through a time where they're going to be reliable. And as much as we know Maeda's injured, and we know that like he's not the greatest of players, but I think you need to realise now that Maeda does bring something to this team. He is a valuable asset, and I think we are missing him, especially for his running ability and his speed as well. Because I think we missed that yesterday. I think there was times where Yang put a good ball in, but then there was nobody there, and then there was times where I think it was Palmer who got into a great shooting position. I think you remember this, Phil. He got into a great shooting position. He was almost 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and then he fell over his own 2 feet.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do remember that one. Yep.
I thought that one was certain to be a goal, but I think there's just as Brendan Rodgers irritated about 2 weeks ago. We've got far too many projects, and right, it's okay to say, well, we're not playing in the best of leagues. These guys should adapt pretty quickly, but then I do see what people say about adapting in a different country and things like that, because all of the players that we've got are very, very young, and we can't expect them to hit the ground running. I mean, Thiago Home, for example, the guy is 19 years of age, and we're expecting this guy to be a world beater when he comes on in this Celtic team. And that comes back to the point where, right, if Callum McGregor's been dropped or if Kyogo's been dropped, right, who are we bringing in then? We've got James McCarthy, McCarthy, sorry, the Japanese boy that escaped my mind.
Wow.
Who Brendan Rodgers clearly doesn't trust. So we've got some big holes, as Mark says, in the squad, and I think now the Celtic board need to wake up and say, right, okay, your system with Matt Lowell about bringing through youth and selling it on, but we've got far too many players at 19, 20 who are just young, and you can't expect too much. We need some experience in there.
I'm quite surprised, Regan. I was quite surprised to see Home back in the starting 11 this week, because if I remember rightly, I think he was perhaps maybe. I mean, we had obviously it was a very good performance by us last against Aberdeen, but I felt Home was maybe, if you want to say the worst player, he was probably the worst player on the pitch that day. For us, sorry. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but like he wasn't the best of. He was. If you wanted to pick who was maybe played the worst, my language isn't. I'm not doing it justice here, because I don't want to say he had a bad game, but he didn't look as confident as maybe the other players did. And I thought maybe, I don't understand what is it Awata's doing that he's not getting the opportunity, because when he comes off the bench, I feel he looks assured, he looks tidy. I don't see, like, is he really that below Home, who looks maybe still, like you say, looks we're relying on a 19-year-old right now. I'm sure, Mark, you'll have an answer for me.
I think the interesting point as well, we need to remember, I think the last time we actually seen Awata scored a great goal at Tynecastle as well. So
yeah, what's going on there? Is he not getting the opportunities to start, or is, like you said, Regan, maybe he just doesn't trust him to be a starter? But it's a strange one. Mark, the goalkeeping situation, Regan touched on. Now I was looking online today, because of course this is the show where we look at all the news, the gossip and the hearsay involving Celtic Football Club. Football Insider columnist Wayne Bhoycie has reported that Celtic are planning to sign up to 3 first-team stars in the January transfer window. Sources have told Football Insider that the winter window is regarded behind the scenes at Parkhead as far more fruitful for the top Scottish clubs than it is at south of the border. And one of the positions that Celtic are looking to strengthen is the goalkeeping situation, does that fill you with any confidence, Mark? Are you quite happy to know that Celtic are prioritising the goalkeeping position? Because I think yesterday again, Joe Hart's done a fine job for us, Mark, but age catches up with everybody, and I feel like it's starting to catch up with Joe Hart. I mean, he's a goalkeeper that really doesn't have to do too much up here. So when he is called upon, maybe it's a bit more difficult for him than it might be for a more younger goalkeeper. But like that, he was flapping at that goal yesterday, and of course he was found in no man's land as well. That Regan touched on earlier. I mean, Motherwell. If that was Europe, we're punished. We were lucky that Motherwell didn't scope that opportunity, but Joe Hart did his best to give them a head start yesterday. But January goalkeeper.
No, I don't trust them. I don't trust the club's going to go out and buy players. I heard Rogers saying on Thursday or Friday that the January window's a tough window to buy players in, and I think we're going to get the same pattern come the 25th or 26th of January that we're trying, and I don't trust the club to bring players in. We've said we're going to bring them in. I don't trust we're going to bring in first 11 players now. I don't. If I've got a goalkeeper, I think it's 6 months too late. To be quite honest with you, I don't think the guy should have started this season. There was actually talk of no starting last season for a lot of Celtic fans. I think sometimes you can just stay that one season too much, and I think that's the case for Joe Hart. You know what I mean? I'd rather just remember him for the good job he's done for Celtic, but he's going to cost us big matches the way he's performing. You know what I mean? And I think every match this season is a big match. I mean, it kind of dispels the theory that, you know, Rodgers only come back. Then Rodgers didn't just come back to win the league. Yes, he did. He did come back to win the European Cup. Put it that way. I mean, our bread and butter is the league. It's a bread and butter, and the plate is put on. That's what we're here for, is to win the league. You know what I mean? And that is the goal for Celtic Football Club of any season they get into. And that's not looking certainty now at all. I mean, I think they'll cut it back to 3 points, and they've got a game in December. You know what I mean? Who knows? I just don't think that. I don't think sources. I think Celtic, first of all, keep the card too close to their chest to tell the Football Insider, which is a bit of a joke website, to be honest with you, that they're signing 3 players. That's a stupid thing to tell people, that you're going to be signing 3 players or 4 players. I don't think clubs put numbers on it, and they certainly don't tell folk at the end of November who they're going to buy and how many they're going to buy. So I'll take that as clickbait and all the rest of it. Just you stick to posting football strips for clubs, leaking them out a month or two early, mate. I'm not all that convinced. I think the window in the summertime there was the worst window we've had since the COVID window, and I'll go one further. I think the squad we've got just now is on par with the squad we had under Roy Dyler. Roy Dyler had some good players plotted in there, like your Van Dijks and a very good Stefan Johansson, and we've just got Roy Dyler's team with a very good Kyogo and a very good Matt O'Reilly, etc. I just don't see that squad as anything other than just a bit better than the rest. I really don't think Rodgers is doing well to get a tune out of them, because you can put down a lot of things to implement new systems, but the fact of the matter is, the squad depth isn't there, and you can't. This system is telling Palmer you can't beat a man, or telling Yank to cross the ball into the top tier. You know what I mean? Or telling O to miss sitters, or you know what I mean? Or fucking Home to have a stinker. You know what I mean? That's not the system. That's just players not living up to the badge. And you mentioned Tilly earlier on. I'm sorry, but we're not a charity. If these guys can't come in and perform for Celtic when it's needed, then don't bother putting the jersey on. I know what you're saying, they should be coming in and it's 2-3. No. You're employed thousands and thousands of pounds a week, and we paid a lot of money to get you. You're fit now. You're ready. Go in the fucking park and earn your money. I don't want players to be give a wee kiss and a cuddle and a wee pat in the bum and saying, "Oh, you go, it's 4-0 now. Let's see what you can do." No. You're here to win matches. You know what I mean? And I'm fed up watching players that are raw. I mean that home and I mean, they're as raw as I went boys' arse. I'm fed up watching this sort of signing coming to Celtic. You know what I mean? We've got guys coming in who, let's be quite honest, they would not get into a Celtic squad for a friendly match. You know what I mean? Guys like fucking Mikey Johnston, we've got you're teaming against Lazio. That's going to be James Forrest and Yang, or maybe Mikey Johnston and Yang. This is what we're dealing with in the Champions League, and we had a pot of gold sitting for us this season, by the way, and we didn't have to speculate to accumulate. The money was already there, and we still couldn't tee ourselves up for it. We still couldn't use our resources, and then we get a statement from Peter Lawwell. I couldn't believe it. He said that we spent all our money in the summertime. Like, we made a profit in that window, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? And I think the focus, quite rightly, is on the board, but and the manager gets it as well. But I feel like the focus is coming after the players too much. As I said, McGregor's getting a free ride. Joe Hart's getting no real pressure. Nobody's behind him. I think, I'm sorry to say this, I think Arthur Johnson's levelled it. I think he's levelled it. I think he's. I would much rather have a Juranovic than him. And I don't think I'd say that. I think he's levelled it. Taylor, come on. I'm beginning to agree with Big Liam for Canada. He's just not a Celtic player anymore. He showed in a couple of good spells that he can be an asset for Celtic. But I'm not wanting spells in the course of 4 or 5 years. I want a player who can come in and play 25, 30 games a season at a top level. And we've not got that. And our midfield, it's the system can make players, perform better, but you still go to a base level of ability, and I'm just not seeing it with some players. I thought Home was terrible yesterday. I think he came off at half time, but to be quite honest with you, we could have took him off after half an hour. He wasn't providing anything, and I thought the intensity was no bad the first 15, 20 minutes. In fact, Joe Hart did what he did at Ibrox. He let Motherwell back into the team. He kicked back into the game. He gave them belief with that stupid scorpion kick or something whatever he tried to do in the box. I don't know what he was trying to do, and it only takes that. I mean, that was a very poor Motherwell team, very, very poor. And Celtic's first shot on target, to my memory, was the penalty that Palmer decided to fuck about with. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see that from my players. I was fed up watching Edouard stroll about the park like he was trying to create a YouTube reel. I don't want to see that for guys who are just beginning to get a career at Celtic. I just don't want to see it. I want to see guys run up and just fucking toe bash at into the back of the net. You know what I mean? Hats off to David Turnbull. He was the only man composed enough yesterday to tuck that away tidily. Good on him. Because we've got too many shite bags in the team, because I don't see many players running and grabbing that ball for the penalty if it was any man's ball. I don't think a captain would grab the ball and put it that way. I think he stood up and put that ball very tidily against a goalkeeper who was frustrating the life out of me. He really was. Motherwell, I said before the game started to be loose next to me, I said they're experts at time wasting this mob, so I hope it's not going to be a long day. And sure enough, it was. Every throw-in, corner kick, by kick, and we've got a referee facilitating it, and that's what comes down to why my captain is not speaking to that referee, because every single person in that stadium is screaming for Callum McGregor. Phil, I'm right here, to speak to the referee, and he's walking by and probably asking what he's having for dinner tonight, and I'm fed up with it. And then another thing, see Kyogo, see next time a player's doing, go and try and braid his hair, go and pick him up, just walk past him. Do what the Rangers players do, walk past him and stand on their fucking horns. You know what I mean? I'm fed up with us being, we're far too nice a club, far too nice a team. You know what I mean? And see, at least Rod Stewart did a bit of balls yesterday. I wish the players did, because we just looked dead, tippy-tappy. Everybody's nice here. There wasn't one dirty shirt in that park yesterday. I don't mean literally. There wasn't one player that get their sleeves rolled up and get dug in yesterday. Not one player. And listen, can I tell you something about Celtic players? You find out a Celtic player's character when it's tough, when you get the last 5-10 minutes. And that's what, just quickly before I finish, and that's why I don't think we should be sitting like this Make-A-Wish Foundation, the guards tell you, you're getting paid thousands of pounds. You're going to have matches that's tough. You're not getting bled in. If you're fit, make up for the 6 months you'll be getting paid for nothing, son. Go in that park, make something, do something, because Yang and Palmer were doing absolutely nothing. I'd rather see a Kelly getting flung on to try and do something in the last 5 minutes than a sub made elsewhere because we're scared to make the positive sub. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's a totally fair comment. Mark, you touched on Motherwell's time wasting and attempting to frustrate the fans and the players. This is something that we see happen all the time. Phil, we touched on it all the time when it comes to European sides coming to Celtic Park, and it works every time for them. So it doesn't surprise me that Motherwell decide to try and drag out the game and frustrate us, because we play into all these teams' hands, and like Mark's right, the captain should be speaking to the referee about it and trying to encourage him to get the gameplay moving along. But why do we keep falling for this? What is it about? Mark's probably right. We're too nice a club. We need to. Nobody's saying start breaking legs and putting in stupid, dangerous tackles and stuff. We don't want that, of course not. But see, when the dark art, there's nothing wrong with the dark arts. It's part of the game. Yep. My good friend Simeone in Atletico. He's great. He's great at it. But we, as a club, time and time again, it doesn't matter what players that we have in our squad, it's happened for years, we don't seem to cope well when the dark arts are used. We don't fight fire with fire. We just almost, I don't want to say a victim mentality, but it's a bit of like, oh well, they were wasting time and they were frustrating us and that was what was causing the hold up. And it's like, well, do something about it. Take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, nah, we're not. This is why I see players like Owen, I think, what he looks like the kind of guy that would be more than up for doing that kind of stuff. Just rough him up a bit. Don't play a bit of the dark arts as well, but we just don't seem to do it. And I know it's just, that's not the Celtic way. We don't play like that. We play like this way, and it's like, well, sometimes there's nothing wrong with maybe just pulling out the dark arts every now and again when it's happening to you. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Motherwell yesterday is not something new. It's something that we've seen plenty of times, because the domestic dark arts compared to the European stuff, there is actually a big difference. But what we see with teams like Motherwell and St Johnstone this season when they came and got a draw is, the teams are going to do that. It's not anything new. I've been going for many years now, and this goes back a long time. A lot of teams come to Glasgow and they have no intention of trying to play any football, and that shouldn't be a surprise to Celtic. The fact that we're seeing that performance yesterday, and it's like there's so many fundamental things wrong when Celtic come up against these days, because it's Aberdeen the other week. Aberdeen probably came with the intention just to sort of sit in and try and get a point. We scored an early goal. If you score an early goal, that solves everything. But of course, you do get days like yesterday where you don't score an early goal. So what do you do? So you need to start changing it up a wee bit and have a plan B. I've seen that mentioned a few times in the chat. Another thing that we're also shockingly terrible at is set pieces. See, on a day when you can't break through them, when you can't find a way through by passing it sideways, waiting for a space to open, that's where you need to be utilising set pieces, corners, free kicks and stuff like that. Again, I saw it mentioned in the chat earlier on, that I can't think off the top of my head, when was the last time we scored directly off a corner? It's very few and far between. When it does happen, you'll get one and then you won't see it happen again for another 15 games or something. And it's like, that is ridiculous, because the amount of teams we come up against in this league at Celtic Park who come and just sit with 10 men behind the ball, we need to we can't find a way through an open play. We need to try and utilise set pieces. We're terrible at them as well. So it goes back to the thing I said at the top of the show. What are we actually practicing in training? Because obviously our penalty kick ratio is horrendous, but just corners, stuff like that are all absolutely horrific. Players come forward for a corner, they're wasting their time. Yesterday, Liam Scales went really, really close with one, which actually we got the penalty that we scored off of with a glancing header. But that was the first time in a good while that I'd seen somebody get a nice clean connection at a header, but he was very unlucky not to score. But we did get a penalty. But we need to be seeing scenarios like that happen more often when we get corners where guys get on the end of it. The amount of times we take a short corner that goes nowhere. I understand that short corners can work, but I don't see them ever working for us. If they've actually got a plan, it just feels like they play it short without any real rhyme nor reason, but they've got like a set play in mind. It's just like play it short, play it quick, try to catch them out, and then it's just a guessing game of what do we do next. And then when they do try to play one just straight into the middle, it usually hits the first man, or it goes too deep and it goes out for a throw-in or something like that. So we're horrific at them as well. So we're missing out there. Again, that's a huge weapon for us, where you've got a day where a team's 10 men behind the ball, we can't break them down in open play. So you're snookering yourself there as well. So I just don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch this thing. And the worst part about it, Dave, that I said there was, it's not new. I can go back to when Strachan was in charge. I've seen Mowbray, Lennon's first spell, Dyler. Teams come to Glasgow do this. So this isn't brand new. This isn't like a shock to the system. That Celtic are like, oh my God, I can't believe a team's playing like this against us. That's what they all do. And the thing is, obviously, when we go to play Rangers now at the end of the December, they'll be looking at those results that St Johnstone will have had. And if the league is, if there's 3 points in it at that point, I don't know if it will be, because I think they're also going to have another game put on the back burner because of the cup final. But again, it'll be games in hand, but points on the board and sort of thing. But if they are within touching distance, they're going to look at it and go, even if we go to Celtic Park and get a frustrating, shitty 0-0 draw, that'll work for them. So they'll be looking at that and be thinking, well, if their teams can get a scrappy draw, then we can do it as well. So like you've got to find ways where if it's not working early on and you can sense it's not working, don't leave it too late to try and make desperate changes. And that is definitely the word to describe it yesterday. Desperate with some of the subs that were made.
Just chucking things, just chucking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Comes to mind, Regan. Well touched on it, Regan. If Aberdeen, obviously if Aberdeen lose to Rangers today, which I think they will, if I'm being honest, there's been a few people mentioning it. I'll ask you the question: is the league back on?
Oh, it definitely is back on, because that new manager, he's you can tell he's really got it going. I think Michael Beale leaving was probably the worst thing that could have happened to us, because as much as
What a guy!
I mean, it would be nice to see him stay for another couple of games to help Rodgers win the league. Because and I'm gonna
tactical genius.
take my opinion from you from watching yesterday's game, right? I kind of feel that Brendan was just brought in here to win the league, to bring that domestic success. Because for me, if you're going to give a squad like that, then what else is he meant to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, people are saying, oh, we can judge Rodgers in Europe. Well, I'm sorry, but if he's bringing, I mean, look, for instance, we were going to go to Lazio during the week, and Mikey Johnson's going to come to play because Palmer's is suspended, Maeda's suspended, so it's going to be Johnson and probably James Forrest or Yang. I mean, if you think we're going to, I feel sorry for all the guys going to Rome. I'm probably going to be 4 or 5. I think the thing that Phil was touching on there, that we find it hard to break down teams. Well, with a kind of low block. I mean, I'm just looking at the fixtures here. The next game we play is next Sunday against St Johnstone, 12:30 on Sky. So that'll just be the exact same. So I think the same thing that I said on, I think it was Wednesday, that I feel like we need to get an early goal against these teams, because then they'll start to lose their heart or determination, because I just don't see any way forward for this team. I think if it was Neil Lennon managing this squad, I think we'd be behind in the league right now, because Brendan Rodgers he's just managing to staple it all together. Just if it was Neil Lennon, I'm sorry, I think we'd be struggling right now. And I think if you're in denial that Rangers are going to be in a title race now, I don't know what you're watching, because this Celtic team are so dire to watch. I mean, I know Mark's a big fan of Tony Ralston, but I just don't know why they let people like that still at the club. I mean, he doesn't offer much. And then again yesterday, the Motherwell guy, I can't remember his name, but he's jumping ahead of him, and I'm thinking, what are you? I mean, you're just sitting watching, and I'm probably going to sit here because I know Robson's got a new 2-year contract. I'm probably going to sit here in 2026 and Tony Robson's going to still be here. You know, and I want to. People was sitting with Peter Longwell right now and with Dermot Desmond, I'd say, see all of these players that you can clearly see that are not good enough. I mean, I've kind of came to the conclusion that they sit and they sit at home and they say to themselves, right, Tony Robson's not good enough. But he'll get his bye against St Johnstone. He'll get his bye against Motherwell. And that is probably a good argument, right? But if you're employing guys thousands of pounds, it shouldn't be, are they okay to get his bye? It should be, are they up to the standard to do well for Celtic? Because Brendan Rodgers, I mean, people, I know there's a lot of people angry that Brendan left. But, I mean, you're watching this now and you're saying to yourself, I mean, I can totally understand why Brendan left. I mean, and you're seeing Brendan too right now. It's just the same mistakes that are happening again. So, when I'm looking at it now, I go, I don't hold any grudges with Brendan because I can see what the board are doing. Yeah, I mean, Brendan came out about 3 or 4 weeks ago and said he's so glad that Stephen Welsh signed a new contract, right? Now, if he's glad that Stephen Welsh has signed a new contract, then I must be watching a different sport. I mean, this was a guy that me and Mark were saying in Angie's first home game against Aberdeen 2 years ago. We were saying, we're a bit scared that Stephen Welsh was playing. Remember I called him the Coatbridge Rio Ferdinand, and Mark was laughing at me. I mean, and then Stephen Welsh scores that day and Flag Day 2 years ago, and he's still been rewarded with a 2 or 3 year contract. I just feel sorry for people that are plowing thousands into the club and they're still getting Stephen Welsh signing a 3 year contract, Tony Rolson signing a 2 year contract, and then Mikey Johnson in the press last week saying, I'm hoping to fight for a new contract under Brendan Rodgers. He knows what I can do.
They're handing him out left, right and centre. Like, Regan, you asked the question, Regan, what more can Rodgers do? Well, when he comes out with things like saying that he's glad that Stephen Welsh is signing a new contract, then, you could argue Rodgers is part of the problem. There was loads what Rodgers could have done in the summer. There was loads. We got Brendan Light. It's been said umpteen times. Bhoycie said it plenty on here. I feel like why there was a comment earlier, and I wish I'd starred it. And I wish I could remember who it was. Phil, you might be able to remember, but the comment basically said that we were all under the impression that Rodgers just didn't come back for I'll just come back for sentimental value. Came back to make a statement, and now I'm paraphrasing because that wasn't exactly what was said, but that's essentially what the point was being made, and it's starting to feel like maybe he was just happy to be back, because you asked the question, what more could he have done? What more can you do when these are the players that you're giving him? Well, fucking demand better. You were brought in. You broke the wage bracket that you set last time when you came back here, in terms as obviously a contract for the manager. Well, if that's the case, if you've demanded such a high wage and such a high profile manager, then fucking act like one and demand the quality that you want. Now, to come out and say that I just play a small part in the transfer and I just coach the players that are given to me, then I think there's a lot more that could have been done, Mark. And obviously, Mark, it must pain you to say, because obviously you were, like many fans, really advocating and buzzing that Brendan was going to be back. But I don't think we've got the Brendan back that we thought we were getting. Now, I keep going back to it. We're kind of, this today's podcast sounds like that we're sitting 9 points behind Rangers right now. We are sitting still at the top, and David Kelly makes a great point earlier, saying, if Aberdeen, and it's a big if, Aberdeen beat Rangers today, yesterday's result will be all forgotten about, and we'll all go on our merry way. But if that is the case, we can't let performances like yesterday, Mark, just fall to the wayside and go, don't worry about we blip in the road, don't worry about it, We're still flying. Like, we've got these things have got to be noted, and we've got to be like, right, okay, we got away with that one. If Aberdeen win today, we got away with that one again. But we can't. We're not going to keep getting away with these trudging, dull, crappy performances, Mark.
This is it. I mean, I think the players are letting us down. I mean, on Rodgers, I don't think we've got a different Rodgers than before. I think Rodgers before had better players, and he had a better standard of ability throughout the squad. You know what I mean? And we've not got a very good squad. Let's be blunt about that. This isn't a vintage Celtic team. This is a pretty poor one. If we're being genuine with ourselves here, I think we've done well to get a point in the Champions League. Never mind performing pretty well in stages, but I'm not entirely sure. Rodgers, for what we know, Rodgers is saying things behind the scenes, but I think he gets the same answers for the clubs and the same arrogance for the club as what the rest is do. And it does beg the question why he came back, because I think he came back. It's probably left a wee bit of a bad taste in his mouth the way he left. You know what I mean? And I do think if he could do it again, he'd probably do it a bit different. He's come back to win trophies at Celtic, and I believe he will. You know what I mean? He's a brilliant manager. He's actually, I dare say, he's a better manager than what he was 7 years ago. I don't think he become a worse manager with practice, put it that way. He's still got the hunger. He's only 50-year-old. I mean, he's a young man. So I'm no panicking about him in any way. I'm still as excited about him as what I was before. It's the club that's letting us down. It's the players that's letting us down. We need to see. I mean, but I'm fed up with just talk. Especially, I keep on mentioning him today, and I don't mean to keep on mentioning him, but I'm fed up reading Callum McGregor's post-match stuff when we draw or get beat, or a performance in Europe. It's we need to learn from it. It's tough. And by the way, I don't know who was said there, but I seen a video of somebody in the airport the day got to Madrid in my Lazio, and my first thought was, I feel sorry for you getting there. And I shouldn't be jealous of the folk boarding a plane to go and see Celtic, but I thought myself, I feel sorry for that person. You know what I mean? The money they're spending, they're going to get there and probably see us get beat by 3 or 4 goals. Let's be quite honest with it about ourselves. I don't see this team at full strength getting points away in Europe. Never mind with the dross we've got. Let her do with that team now. So I just think that the communication with the club is terrible. The club is terrible, but I'm hoping behind the scenes that Rodgers is because I don't think he can walk away now. You know what I mean? I think if he walked away now, that'd be the biggest crime of all. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just feel that the scatterguns out this morning, and they're all entitled to that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's no sobering because I'm not a clairvoyant. My sister's called Claire. I'm not called Claire. I'm not clairvoyant. But I seen a lot of these deficiencies for day one. I seen gaps out of that squad for day one, and sometimes it takes results or performances week in, week out for some people to see it. But we can't sit here and be begging for better standard of players, and then in the same breath big up guys like Daisen Maeda and guys like Awata for a start, because I'm sorry, they're just no Celtic quality, boys. You know what I mean? They're just no. And I don't want to get into the Maeda chat unless you wanting that is, but I'm just fed up listening to. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got the biggest and best squad in the country. We've got the most money in the country. We've got the best manager in the country. The only people that can stop us winning the league this season is Celtic. And I'll reiterate what I said a while ago. That is all that matters, guys. You know what I mean? As a league, and it didn't just come back to win the league. That word just shouldn't be in that. He's come back to win the league. He's under the same remit as Martin O'Neill and Jock's team was. You're the Celtic manager, and your job is to win the league. Anything else is a bonus. You know what I mean? And that's why he's at Celtic, to win trophies, and they put us back. I think to put us back to at least not being a laughing stock in Europe, because we're a bit of a laughing stock. If he can get us to, I think our performances. Don't forget, after 3 games, some English pundit, I don't know who he is or where he came from, but he said that some of the best football we've seen in the Champions League this season came for Celtic, and at spells have been quite exciting to watch. And I think that 5-10% better player would have got his results. So it's not like it's all doom and gloom. There is signs that Celtic can compete at a certain level against certain level of teams. But I tell you something, see that group we've got, Martin would have butt your hand off for that. And same last season. We've had 2 Europa League standard groups the last 2 seasons. Take Real Madrid away, of course, and Atletico. I mean, the pot 1 teams have been pretty nasty to us, but.
Aye, but you're right, mate. They're Europa League quality teams. They are.
I think we could, and I think we could get the groups in the Europa League. And I mean, Feyenoord, come on, we've got a bigger budget there. I don't think Celtic are a European superpower, but if you can't be beating teams like Feyenoord, I don't think you deserve to be in the Champions League, because you need to. That's the level of opposition I think that Celtic should be absolutely 110% going toe to toe with. There's no fear in my mind for any Dutch team. I mean, the standard isn't a different universe for us. It certainly isn't. You know what I mean? It's no far. The league isn't that much better than us. Probably just with bigger stadiums and better players littered out, but no generally. It's no. I just don't know. As you say, we're 9 points ahead. We're 3 points ahead. I'll look at it the realistic way. We're 3 points ahead, really. I don't think we're going to get much joy off of most clubs in Scotland, because there's always penalty Rangers. There's always a penalty. We were gifted 2 penalties yesterday. I don't think the second one, there might have been a tug or a push. Michael Johnson did well to speak to the referee, because I don't think we're going to give that. I don't think that was a penalty. If you're getting penalties for that, when the Celtic player wins the ball perfectly well and he does it just wide, I think the game's over. If you're getting penalties for that, it's the sort of one we get against us and I'll be raging about. You know what I mean? Sort of ones Rangers would get and I'll be raging about. So I can't be two-faced about it. The first one was a penalty. I think the player should have been sent off as well, because it's a goal-scoring opportunity.
Yep.
But when you get goalkeepers honing the ball 3 yards outside the box, and the referee does nothing and VAR does nothing, then there's not much you can say. I mean, you can't grab the whistle yourself, even though I'd love to, and shove up their arses sometimes, especially at Celtic Park. I mean, the referee in Scottish football is always a leveller. It's always a leveller. Referees can influence a match. Nobody just handing out penalties. They can slow the game down, talk to players for longer than they have to, allow the dark arts and dirty tactics to carry on longer than they should. The referees influence the games in Scotland. I'm not one of these guys that thinks that the SFA are out to get us. I know the SFA are out to get us. We are. It took 5 minutes for the SFA to have a staunch Protestant origins. It'll take more than 140 years to get rid of it. I can assure you that the origins of the SFA are as staunch and Protestant as they have been since day one. You know what I mean? And that doesn't curry favour with a nice club at Celtic. I mean, we don't know what the club say behind the scenes, but we need to go a pair of balls and start asking questions of the SFA in terms of the decision making. I mean, 7 years without a home match in Boxing Day, and playing Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, Rangers, Livingston, Motherwell in the first 10 games away from home. That's some computer, that, isn't it? I mean, I don't understand how that's allowed to happen. You've got to play these teams home and away. I understand that, but just seems a bit stinky that we get all the games at the start of the season to bed in Michael Beale, give him a nice wee fresh start to the season. Unfortunately for them, he was a fucking red-rotten manager. But thank God he was, because I think any decent Rangers manager would be neck and neck with Celtic. I'm just, as I say, the scatterguns out a wee bit, but no, really. I mean, you need to sit back and say that we're still top of the league. I still think we've got a better team and squad than them. We've got the ability to buy better in January. Listen, I'm going to just, anybody that listens to me and even takes me seriously at all, just listen to this. Don't get yourself wound up or hyped up for us bringing in players in January, because how many times can somebody piss in your forehead and tell you it's rain? I just don't understand it. Let's make it back to the event boys again. But no, I don't know. It's typical Mark being negative about it, but
that's so funny, man.
Oh, fuck's sake, that's what happened. I'm still in my jammies, mate. I haven't even woke up yet. I think if you can take the positive with it, the positive is that the opposition in this country is that poor that Celtic stand out. So we don't really need to do much, but we can be doing far better. And my worry is that there's a £60 million jackpot for the champions this season. So If Rangers get into this January neck and neck, they will tap their granny, their granda, and do a bucket collection, and they will buy players. They will go. They'll fling the kitchen sink at the window if they think there's a chance of winning that 60 million. And that's all we need, is them getting back to parity in terms of their budget, because this is a Rangers team that haven't got a penny to spend. They sell shares to pay the heating bills and everything, and give them £60 million, and they're wiping out a lot of debt. They're paying shareholders back. Their share price goes up straight away with that, and before you know it, and that's what happens. If it was sliding doors, I mentioned all the time, that could be a turning point for them as a club. That could bring them back to, we're still competing in Europe. They got to a final 2 years ago, and they're doing a lot better than us. But that could give them the shot in the arm they need as in Scottish football anyway, to get them back to being a decent trophy winning club again. Is that £60 million? That's how important the league is this season. Is if we want to stay the dominant force, we need to be winning our championships more often than not, which we do. But let's not let these bastards back in by just giving them shots in the arm like yesterday. I mean, 2 penalties, and a Motherwell team sitting 9th, and we still couldn't win at Celtic Park. I don't know what more help you need, Celtic. We just need to get real here.
Indeed.
Yeah, mate. Well said, mate. Well said. But before we go, we've just went 12:10. It's been a lively Sunday Blether, Phil.
Yeah.
It's been kept dignified though. I think it's still been kept dignified. We won't have any complaints from Ofcom for some certain words and phrases being used today. We're all good. Not that there was any, by the way. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Right, Regan. By the way, Regan had to shoot. By the way, if anyone's wondering where Regan went, if you hadn't guessed it, that was still Mark talking. Regan, he had to go. So thanks, Regan, for joining us, and hopefully we'll have him back on screen next Sunday. We've got time. Lazio, Phil.
God, do it have to.
Lazio. Quickly. Rodgers was asked, will it be easy for the boys to, be able to pick up your squad after a difficult result today, ready to go out to face Lazio out in Italy? And he said, it'll be very easy. We'll get in and we'll cover. It's a very honest group of players, and we're all very disappointed that we've not picked up the 3 points after being in the position that we're in. Rodgers thinks it'll be nice and easy to pick up his boys and be ready to go again against Lazio, and that's good. I'm glad, because we don't want to have a weak mentality where it's a woe is me going into a game where, if we do get a result in Italy, our European adventure may continue. So that's positive to hear. How likely is it though, Phil, that we can go to Lazio and get a result? Because sometimes a performance like that before a game such as Lazio, maybe a little shot in the arm, a bit of a reality check, that and they will need to show some statement when they go out there and show some courage and make a statement, I should say, out in Italy. Is that a positive spin I'm trying to put on there? Does that give you any sort of hope whatsoever?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose when Tuesday rolls around, I'll still have some sort of maybe we can get some, but then maybe about 20 minutes into the game, I'll have that same crushing feeling of it's going the same way as normal. Again, you just don't know. I know it sounds weird. Realistically, I don't think we'll get anything, and I think it'll be a similar story. But again, stranger things have happened. It would be very Celtic for somehow them to get a result out there that keeps them in it, and then blow it in the home game against Feyenoord in the last one and miss out on the third place. That would be something very typically Celtic in Europe. But again, Brendan's going to say stuff like that. He's not going to. We're still mathematically in it, so he's not going to come out and say something like, "Oh no, we're not that bothered about it." It's a nothing game and all that. But yeah, I can't really be bothered.
Fuck that.
Yeah, he's just. We just need to hope that we can salvage something in this group. But I think it's long gone now. I said on Friday night talking to Liam, I said it's just funny how every game that rolls around this Champions League, it's right. It's win or bust for Celtic. This one, then the next one comes. Okay, it's still win or bust, and we're still in a situation in fixture number 5 where guys, it's win or bust here. So it's like we're still mathematically in with a chance of having European football after Christmas. But yes, this is most definitely the final win or bust one. So
Win or
they go
bust.
and give it their best shot, and we'll see what happens. But realistically, I don't think we're going to have a good night on Tuesday, and I think it's going to be more of the same, sadly. And I hate to say that, but I just feel like that's the way it's going to go, sadly.
Well, I'm just
Can I
just
just say,
checking.
can I just say that I think the worst thing that could happen to Celtic is to get a result in one of our last two games. We don't need the board to justify their decision not to strengthen that squad by saying, oh, see how close we were. We're close to Europe. And we had Peter Lowell saying the other day there that it's just consistency. If he thinks just consistency is the difference between us and the teams are playing in Europe, then there's something wrong with the guy, you know what I mean? And we don't need the board to be vindicated within themselves and the decision making in terms of building the squad they have, because we're what's this here? I don't know. He's trying.
Aberdeen have scored. Breaking news.
Always forgotten.
That's it. I know they've got away with it again, Mark.
We've got away with it again, boys. Fucking up the Rodgers. Come on.
What are we talking about? Can we just delete this entire show?
We're not going to post this. Forget everything that Mark said.
In general, well, listen, I think
Never, mate, never.
There's still a lot of penalties to be given, a lot of VARs to be given.
Exactly, mate. Well, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath.
Have to get a penalty, so you know.
Answer me this.
1-0.
This is a very, very, very tough game for Rangers, right? So I guarantee you the referee is a beaten or another zombie.
Your course is Nick Walsh today.
Nick Walsh, it's a full squad. Who's in VR duty?
Somebody told me through the week, they sent me a screen grab of it and went, the fix is in for that one. It was Nick Walsh. I can't remember who the VR one was.
I always find that these tough games, they fling in the referees. It's like, if Rangers have got a tough game away from home, it's you turn on the telly and it's your beating, your Steve McLean's. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all a shiver, every one of them, but there's sometimes there's lesser evils than others, you know what I mean? John Beaton and Steve McLean and Andrew Dallas and all the rest of it, they don't even hide it. At least they're bold as brass with it, to be fair to them, but that's good to see Aberdeen have scored. Is that 1-0 or is that 1 each?
Just 1-0 now, but Pat was saying that they should be 3-0 up. Butland's pulled off 2 big saves already.
Well, that was one that I think we could have signed him.
Yeah,
I definitely think if Celtic says, Jack Butland, do you want to come to Celtic? I think he says, where do I sign? I think he'd be signing for Rangers. And just something, just quickly on signings, there was folks saying, how do you attract players to Scotland? Well, if Saudi Arabia can have 30 fans and attract Benzema, it's not because they fancy the warm weather, it's the money. I'm not saying Celtic give players $100 grand a day. I'm saying if you offer a player 30 grand a week and Wolves offer him 28, you're getting them. You know what I mean? So there's definitely reasons why players would come to Scotland, and the finances dictate where a player goes. You know what I mean? More often than not, a player, obviously you get the heart will in the heat sometimes, but more often than not, a player's going to come where the money is. You know what I mean? Jota didn't decide to play in front of 40 fans because he fancied a change. I seen him scoring a goal the other day there, and I could not believe it. Yep. It was, you heard the coaching staff cheering everything. I thought, I showed you a video, and I went, it was something that my right and saying something like 50 fans there or something like that, and I thought, my goodness, man.
Apparently, Mark, the team that Gerrard manages at Moussa Dembele plays for, they get like 700 fans or something like that, and there's teams in like the 6th tier of English football that get over 1,000 fans at every game, and it's like there's teams at that level getting more than the top division in Saudi where there's all sorts of money. That's the type of crowds they get.
Aye, well, I mean, I'd run bollock naked in front of 700 fans for fucking the money he's making.
I tell you something, like, they say money doesn't always motivate players on the park, but normally the crowd do. But see, when you get rich superstars earning £3 million a week, and I mean, they must just be walking about that park thinking to himself, fuck this. You know what I mean? I'm just going to take my money each week and just stroll this. You know what I mean? 50 fans and 60 fans. I mean, that's like the sort of things you get Queen's Park in a 50,000 seater stadium. You know what I mean? That's probably what it's playing like. What it's like playing for these teams. So we can attract them. I mean, nobody wants to go over this Cali Thistle on a Sunday at 12 o'clock. But nobody wants to go to Aston Villa either. It's the money's there, they'll go. You know what I mean?
Birmingham, eh?
Aye. So the money's there, you'll go. I think we should just push the boat out. I don't know. I think we've spoke that much about Celtic today. I'm beginning to start.
Celtic out.
We're all Celtic out for the day, but it's fine. We will take a wee step back right now, and of course the Monday Club will be back tomorrow, and then obviously all your other favourite Bhoycie Bus shows. Yeah, show. I don't know why the word show just went totally out of my mind there, but hopefully Aberdeen show some more bollocks and go and get another one and put the zombies to bed early before they get their inevitable penalty.
a quick word to the listeners: if you're going to post homophobic tweets, at least delete them. The way some folk do, you know what I mean?
Oh, right, yes. I know what that's a reference to.
I mean, I seen that the other day there. Hysterically, the same person who was slagging us because one of your podcasters got kicked off the show for saying something similar, and then he turned around and says, "I've stipulated that there'll be no homophobia or sectarianism." Then 14 seconds later said, "We've got a rebel band playing at 9:30 on a gig he was promoting." Right, anyway,
yeah.
That's the level you're dealing with. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, thanks again for joining us this lovely Sunday morning / now lunchtime. Go and get your pies in the oven, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Take care, guys, and remember, we're still sitting on top of the table. All is forgiven. See you next week. Bye.